The silence was deafening. I'm standing in my childhood bedroom, looking at the eviction notice taped to the front door. The same door I used to knock on, begging to come inside after school. The same door that was slammed in my face countless times. My mother is crying. Not the fake tears she used to manipulate Dad with. Not the crocodile tears she shed at family gatherings, when she wanted sympathy. These are real tears. Raw, desperate, and completely pathetic. Please. She whispers into the phone. There has to be something we can do. Some kind of payment plan. But I know better. I know, because I'm the one who stopped the payments. 3 months ago. I made a decision that would change everything. And today, watching her beg the bank representative for mercy, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. You see, my mother always had this saying. Whenever I asked for anything, whenever I needed help, whenever I tried to better myself, she would look at me with those cold, calculating eyes and say the same 4 words. Act your wage. Act your wage, she'd sneer, when I wanted to take piano lessons. Act your wage, she'd hiss, when I asked for help with college applications. Act your wage, when I begged her to co-sign a student loan so I could escape this hellhole. Well, Mom, I acted my wage. And you are about to learn what that really means. The moving truck pulls up outside. 2 guys in blue uniforms start walking toward the house. My mother sees them through the window, and her face goes white. Not pale, white. Like she's seen a ghost. Maybe she has. Maybe she's finally seeing the ghost of every dream she crushed. Every opportunity she destroyed. Every time she chose her own comfort over her daughter's future. 30 days, she keeps repeating to herself. How did this happen so fast? I could tell her. I could explain exactly how this happened. But instead, I just stand there. Watching. Waiting. Because after 28 years of being told to act my wage, I finally did. And the wage of a successful software engineer is apparently enough to buy a house. Her house. The house she mortgaged, and remortgaged, and borrowed against, thinking her golden child would always be there to bail her out. But I'm not her golden child. I never was. Let me take you back to where this all started. My name is Sarah. And I grew up in what everyone thought was the perfect American family. White picket fence, 2-story house, manicured lawn. From the outside, we looked like we had it all. But behind closed doors, my mother, Patricia, ruled with an iron fist wrapped in a designer glove. You have to understand, my mother never worked. Not once. Not a single day in her entire adult life. She married my father straight out of high school, and spent the next 30 years perfecting the art of manipulation. Dad worked 2 jobs. Sometimes 3. He'd leave the house at 6 in the morning, and stumble back home after midnight. Exhausted. Broken. But always bringing home every penny to Patricia. And my mother? She spent her days shopping. Gossiping with the neighbors. Planning elaborate dinner parties that we couldn't afford. Living a life that existed only in her imagination. But the real victim was me. I remember. I was 8 years old. 8. I wanted to join the school choir. It was free, completely free. All I needed was permission. I ran home from school that day, so excited. I thought, finally, something that wouldn't cost money. Patricia looked at me with those dead, cold eyes. Choir is for rich kids, Sarah. You need to learn your place in this world. Act your wage. Act your wage. At 8 years old. I didn't even know what that meant. But I felt it. The weight of it. The shame. When I was 12. I got accepted into the gifted program. My teachers were thrilled. They said I had potential, that I could go far. I needed a graphing calculator. $35. That's it. $35? Patricia laughed. Actually laughed. For what? So you can pretend you're smarter than you are? Act your wage, Sarah. I did my math homework, with a broken calculator I found at a garage sale. While my mother bought herself a $200 purse the same week. But the worst part, the part that still keeps me up at night, happened when I was 17. I had worked 2 part-time jobs. Weekends at the grocery store, weeknights babysitting the neighbors' kids. For 2 years. I saved every single penny. Every dollar bill. Every quarter. Because I had a dream. College. I had been accepted to State University. Not Harvard, not Yale. State University. With in-state tuition, it was affordable. I had saved $3,000. I just needed a cosigner for the student loans. I remember that conversation like it was yesterday. I sat Patricia down at the kitchen table. I had prepared a whole presentation. I showed her my grades, my acceptance letter, my savings account statement. Mom, I said, my voice shaking. This is my chance. I can make something of myself. I can help the family. She didn't even look up from her magazine. Sarah, she said, flipping a page casually. You're dreaming too big. College is for people like the Hendersons next door. People with money. You need to accept reality. Get a job at the mall, find a nice boy, and act your wage. I begged her. I literally got on my knees. I cried. I promised I would pay her back with interest. I swore I would take care of her when she got old. She looked at me, kneeling on that linoleum floor, and she smiled. Not a kind smile. A cruel smile. The smile of someone who enjoyed crushing dreams. The answer is no, Sarah. And if you bring this up again, you can find somewhere else to live. That night, I cried myself to sleep. But something else happened that night. Something shifted inside me. The little girl who believed in fairy tales, who thought her mother might actually love her, died. And someone else was born. Someone who would remember every insult. Every rejection. Every time she was told to act her wage. Let me know in the comments where you are watching this video from. I'd love to know, because what happened next changed everything. Fast forward 10 years. I didn't go to college that year. But I didn't give up. I took night classes at the community college. Worked full-time during the day, studied until 3 in the morning. It took me 6 years to get my associate's degree. Then another 4 for my bachelor's in computer science. While Patricia sat on her throne. Still spending Dad's money. Still treating me like her personal disappointment. But here's the thing about dreams deferred, they don't die. They just get stronger. By the time I was 28, I was making 6 figures. Senior software engineer at a tech startup. I had my own apartment, my own car, my own life. For the first time ever, I was happy. And that's when Patricia decided she needed me. Dad had passed away 2 years earlier. Heart attack. All that stress, all those years of working himself to death, finally caught up with him. And suddenly, Patricia's gravy train came to a screeching halt. She had never learned to budget. Never learned to work. The life insurance money was gone within 8 months. Blown on vacations, shopping sprees, and maintaining her fake lifestyle. The house Dad had worked himself to death for, was mortgaged to the ceiling. That's when the calls started. Sarah, honey. She would say, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. I know we've had our differences, but family is family, right? Family is family. Rich, coming from the woman who threatened to kick me out for wanting an education. I just need a little help with the mortgage until I figure things out. A little help. $4,000 a month for the mortgage alone. Not including utilities, property taxes, or her shopping addiction. But here's the thing. I'm not cruel. Despite everything, I loved my father. And I knew he would have wanted me to help. So I did. For 3 years. I paid her mortgage. I covered her utilities. I bought her groceries. I was basically funding her retirement. While she sat in that house, spending my money, and never once, not once, saying thank you. Instead, she got comfortable. Entitled. She started making demands. Sarah, the roof needs repair. When are you going to take care of that? The kitchen appliances are outdated. I need new ones. My friends are going on a cruise. I should be able to afford nice things too. I should be able to afford nice things. On my dime. But the breaking point came 3 months ago. At my cousin Jennifer's wedding. I had bought a new dress. Nothing fancy, just a simple black dress from Nordstrom. $200. For a wedding, where I was a bridesmaid. Patricia saw me getting ready, and her face twisted into that familiar look of disgust. That dress probably cost more than most people make in a week, she sneered. I ignored her. I was used to it by now. But then, she said something that stopped me cold. You know, Sarah, just because you make good money now, doesn't mean you should forget where you came from. You still need to act your wage. Act your wage. There it was. After everything I had been through, after paying her bills for 3 years, after literally keeping a roof over her head, she still saw me as that 8-year-old girl begging to join the choir. At the wedding, it got worse. Jennifer's parents asked about my job. They were impressed, curious about the tech industry. They treated me like an accomplished adult. With respect. Patricia couldn't stand it. Oh, Sarah thinks she's so important now, she announced to the entire table. Making her computer money, living in her fancy apartment. But money doesn't buy class, does it, dear? She paused, and smiled that cruel smile I remembered so well. After all, we all need to act our wage. The table went quiet. Everyone could feel the tension. The cruelty. The way she was trying to humiliate me. In public. At a family wedding. But this time, something was different. I wasn't 8 years old anymore. I wasn't 17, begging for a cosignature. I was 28 years old, successful, independent. And I was done. I stood up, calmly. I walked around the table, and leaned down to whisper in her ear. You're absolutely right, Mom. We should all act our wage. And tomorrow. I'm going to start. She looked confused. Uncertain. For the first time in my life. Patricia looked afraid. Before I tell you what I did next, if you're enjoying this story, please subscribe. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Because what happened next was the most satisfying moment of my entire life. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. I made coffee. I sat at my kitchen table. And I opened my laptop. First, I logged into my bank account. The automatic transfer that had been sending Patricia $4,000 every month for 3 years was scheduled to go out that day. I canceled it. Then, I did something else. Something I had been preparing for, without even realizing it. You see, for the past 6 months, I had been quietly documenting everything. Every nasty comment. Every demand. Every time she treated me like garbage, while I paid her bills. But more importantly, I had been investigating her finances. And what I found was interesting. Patricia had been lying. About everything. The house wasn't just mortgaged. It was mortgaged 3 times. She had taken out a second mortgage 2 years ago. Then a home equity loan. Then, she had mortgaged it again, using some kind of reverse mortgage scheme. The woman who had never worked a day in her life had somehow accumulated $400,000 in debt against a house that was worth maybe $250,000. She was completely underwater. Drowning in debt. And my monthly payments weren't even covering the interest. I had been throwing money into a black hole. But here's the really interesting part. The part that made my blood boil. Patricia had been approved for all these loans because she listed me as a cosigner. Without my knowledge. Without my permission. She had forged my signature. Used my credit score, my income, to secure loans she could never pay back. And when the banks called for verification, she gave them my phone number, claiming I was her financial advisor. Identity theft. Fraud. Forgery. My own mother had been committing felonies, using my name. I spent that entire day making phone calls. To banks. To credit agencies. To lawyers. By 5 p.m. I had a complete picture of the situation. And a plan. The next morning, I drove to Patricia's house. Our house. Dad's house. She was in the kitchen, making breakfast. Humming to herself. Completely oblivious to what was about to happen. "Good morning, Sarah," she said, not looking up from her eggs. "I hope you learned your lesson at the wedding. Sometimes, people need to be reminded of their place." I sat down, at the kitchen table. The same table where she had crushed my college dreams. The same table, where she had spent years telling me to act my wage. "Mom," I said calmly. "We need to talk." She finally looked at me. And something in my tone must have warned her. Her face went pale. "I know about the loans," I said. She froze. The spatula, still in her hand. Her mouth, slightly open. "I know about the second mortgage. The home equity loan. The reverse mortgage. I know, you used my name. My credit. My signature." The spatula clattered to the floor. "Sarah," she whispered. "I can explain." "No," I said, my voice steady. "You can't. Because there's no explanation for fraud. There's no excuse for identity theft." I reached into my purse and pulled out a folder. A thick folder. Full of bank statements, loan documents, and legal papers. "I'd been to the police," I lied. I hadn't, yet. But I wanted to see her reaction. Her face went from pale to white. Then, to green. "I've been to a lawyer. I've been to the FBI Financial Crimes Division." That last part was also a lie. But Patricia didn't know that. She sank into her chair. Her hands were shaking. "Please," she whispered. "Please don't do this. I'm your mother. My mother. The woman who had spent 28 years telling me I wasn't good enough. The woman who had crushed every dream, destroyed every opportunity. The woman who had literally stolen my identity." "You're right," I said, standing up. "You are my mother. And a mother should want better for her children. A mother should encourage them, support them, help them reach their potential." I walked around the table and looked down at her. This woman, who had seemed so powerful when I was a child. So intimidating. So cruel. She looked small. Pathetic. broken. But you never wanted me to succeed, I continued. You wanted me to fail. You wanted me to stay small, so you could feel big. You wanted me to act my wage, while you spent money you didn't have, on a life you didn't earn. Patricia started crying. Real tears, streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I'll make it right. I'll pay you back. With what money? I asked. You don't have any money. You've never had any money. The only money you've ever had was Dad's. And now, it's mine. I placed the folder on the table in front of her. These are the papers from the bank. All the loans are in default. The house goes into foreclosure in 30 days. Unless someone makes a payment of $50,000. Her eyes went wide. Desperate. Sarah, please. You have to help me. I'll change. I'll be better. I'll act your wage, I said softly. And then I walked out. The next 30 days were the most satisfying of my entire life. Patricia called 17 times that first day. 17. I counted. Each voicemail more desperate than the last. Sarah, please pick up. We need to talk about this. Sarah, I know you're angry, but this is extreme. Sarah, where am I supposed to go? I'm 62 years old. I didn't answer. Not once. But other people started calling too. Day 3, my cousin Jennifer called. Sarah, what's going on? Aunt Patricia called my mom, crying. She says you're trying to steal her house? Steal her house. The house I had been paying for 3 years. Jennifer, I said calmly, did you know your Aunt Patricia forged my signature on over $400,000 in loans? Silence. Did you know she's been using my credit to fund a lifestyle she can't afford? While telling me, for my entire life, that I need to act my wage? More silence. No, Jennifer whispered. I didn't know. Well, I said, now you do. Day 7, my Uncle Robert called. Patricia's brother. The golden child who could do no wrong. Sarah, this is ridiculous. Patricia made some mistakes, but you can't just abandon family. Uncle Robert, I said, how much money have you given Patricia over the years? That's not the point. How much? I insisted. Well, that's different. I have my own family to think about. Exactly, I said. And so do I. Day 10, the bank sent an appraiser. I watched from my car as a woman in a business suit walked around the property. Taking photos. Making notes. Patricia stood in the window. Watching. Looking like a ghost, haunting her own life. Day 15. I got a call from Patricia's lawyer. Apparently, she had hired someone to contest the foreclosure. Ms. Williams, the lawyer said, my client believes there may be some misunderstanding about the mortgage payments. There's no misunderstanding, I told him. Your client committed fraud. Identity theft. If you'd like, I can provide you with copies of all the forged documents. The lawyer went quiet for a long moment. I see, he said finally. I'll need to discuss this with my client. He never called back. Day 20. Patricia showed up at my apartment. I was having dinner when I heard the buzzing from the front desk. The doorman called up. Ms. Williams, there's a Patricia Williams here to see you. Says she's your mother. I almost said no. Almost told him to send her away. But curiosity got the better of me. Send her up. When I opened the door, I barely recognized her. She had lost weight. Her hair was unkempt. Her clothes looked like she had been sleeping in them. "Sarah," she whispered, "please. Can I come in?" I stepped aside. She walked into my living room and looked around. At my furniture. My artwork. My life. It's beautiful," she said quietly. We sat down, on opposite ends of the couch. "I know what I did was wrong," she began. "The loans, the signatures. I was desperate. After your father died. I didn't know how to survive." "So you decided to destroy my credit?" I asked. I thought you would never find out. I thought I could pay everything back, before you knew." "With what money, Mom? You've never worked. You've never earned a single dollar." She started crying again. But this time, the tears looked different. Real. Broken. "I was scared," she sobbed. "I've never been on my own. I married your father when I was 18, and he took care of everything. I don't know how to be an adult." For a moment, just a moment. I felt sorry for her. But then I remembered. The choir. The calculator. The college dreams. 28 years, of being told I wasn't good enough. "You had 18 years," I said quietly, "to learn how to be supportive. To encourage your daughter. To help me succeed. Instead, you spent 18 years, tearing me down." "I was protecting you," she whispered. "From what?" "From disappointment. From failure. I didn't want you to dream too big, and get hurt." I stared at her. This broken woman, who had spent my entire childhood, crushing my spirit. "You weren't protecting me," I said. "You were protecting yourself. You were afraid that if I succeeded, I wouldn't need you anymore. You wanted to keep me small, so you could stay in control." She looked at me, with those same cold eyes. But now, they were filled with something I had never seen before. Fear. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," I said, standing up, "you learn to act your wage." Day 25, the eviction notice went up. Day 28, the moving trucks arrived. And day 30. Patricia Williams lost the house. I drove by, that evening. The house was empty. Dark. A bank-owned sign sat in the front yard. Patricia had moved into a studio apartment across town. 1 bedroom. No dishwasher. No garden. No place for dinner parties she couldn't afford. She texted me the address, begging me to visit. I deleted the message. 2 weeks later, I got a call from Jennifer. "Sarah," she said, "Aunt Patricia she's working at Walmart. As a greeter. Working. For the first time in her adult life. Patricia was working." "Good," I said. She's acting different. Humble. She keeps saying, she's sorry. That she understands now." "Understanding," I said, "doesn't erase 28 years of cruelty. But here's the thing. I wasn't done. You see, I had learned something about myself, during those 30 days. I had learned that I was stronger than I thought. Smarter than she ever gave me credit for. And I had learned that sometimes, the best revenge is success." 6 months later, I bought a house. Not just any house. A beautiful house, in the nicest neighborhood in town. 4 bedrooms. 3 bathrooms. A garden. A pool. The house Patricia had always dreamed of. And every month, I drive by her studio apartment. Just to remind myself how far I've come. She still works at Walmart. Still lives in that tiny apartment. Still acting her wage. Just like she always told me to do. So, What did I learn from all this? I learned that sometimes, the people who are supposed to love you the most, are the ones who hurt you the deepest. I learned that toxic people will always find ways to justify their behavior. And I learned that forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Patricia still sends me cards on my birthday, on Christmas, Mother's Day. They all say the same thing. I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. But love isn't just a word. Love is action. Love is support. Love is wanting the best for someone else, even when it doesn't benefit you. Patricia never loved me. She loved the idea of controlling me. She loved having someone smaller than her to make herself feel bigger. And forgiveness? I've forgiven her for my own peace of mind. But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to let her back into my life. It doesn't mean I have to pretend the past didn't happen. Some people ask me if I feel guilty, if I regret watching her lose everything. The answer is no. I don't feel guilty for refusing to enable someone who abused me. I don't regret setting boundaries with someone who spent decades tearing me down. And I don't apologize for finally acting my wage. My wage as a successful woman. My wage as someone who overcame every obstacle she put in my path. My wage as a person who refused to stay small just to make someone else comfortable. Patricia taught me to act my wage. She just never expected that my wage would be so much higher than hers. These days, I'm happier than I've ever been. I have a career I love. Friends who respect me. A life that's entirely my own. And sometimes, when I'm sitting in my beautiful house, in my peaceful garden, I think about that scared little 8-year-old who just wanted to join the choir. And I tell her, "You made it, baby. You made it." If you liked this story, check out this other one on the screen. It's about a woman who discovered her husband was cheating, and the revenge she planned will blow your mind. Thanks for listening. And remember, always act your wage. But make sure you know what you're really worth. See you there.